Hello everybody. Sorry if you were on the other one. It literally just stopped working. So apologize for that one. Hi Lisa. Thank you for commenting so quickly. I can see straight away that we have comments tonight. It's so good. I love having the comments on. So thanks Lisa. I can see you too. Welcome on guys. Happy Sunday. Welcome to our Sunday Night Live. Yet another weekend of reasonable weather. I mean, I know today's been wet, but gee, it's not cold. We're really well and truly hitting into spring weather, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So let me know in the comments what you've been up to this week in this beautiful weather. We've certainly done a lot more walks together as a family. As always, it's a hashtag live if you're here with us tonight, and a hashtag replay if you're watching after the fact. I can see Lisa's on. Hi Lisa. I can see Meredith's on. Hi Meredith. It's nice to see you. Alrighty. So tonight's topic is a follow-on from last week's chat about self-sabotage. Like I said last week, this topic is so big. It is so big that there's so much to cover. So I actually thought it warranted another chat this week. I thought it warranted a part 2. A bit more of a practical one. And the more I got to thinking about it, the more I thought that we could delve just a little bit deeper into some of the most common things that we do to sabotage ourselves. So I thought we'd get really practical, ladies. We might even hit home for some of us. I know when I was writing this that it really hit home for me. So I'm going to expect that some of the stuff we talk about tonight will hit home for you. And that's exactly what we want, because what that means is you'll get something out of it. All right. So quite often we do set ourselves up for failure before we even begin on our journey towards a new goal. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. I can see Jane's on. Hi, Jane. Kathy's on. Hi, Kathy. She's given us a hashtag live. It's been a little while since Kathy's been on, I think. Hi, Shauna. Shauna's here with a hashtag live as well. So let me know in the comments, ladies, did you watch last week's video on self-sabotage? Just a hands up or a yes or something in the comments. And if you can, let me know what you got out of last week's chat, because there was a lot of psychological talk about self-sabotage last week. And it was a little bit practical, but not as practical as we're going to get tonight. So last week was all about the psyche and how our brains work and why it happens on a deeper level. Tonight we're going to get practical, all right, with the things that we actually do. So I can see a lot of yeses there. Beautiful, amazing. So in my experience, both on my own journey and as a nutrition coach, sometimes self-sabotage isn't necessarily about the things that we do on the journey, okay? Sometimes it actually comes down to the way we set up our journey or the way that we set up our goals, okay? So it's not always what we do in the process. Sometimes it's something we do before we even begin. Jane, yep, stop and think during the act. Yeah, that's what you got. Jane, that is a brilliant thing to take away. Meredith keeps telling herself it doesn't matter and therefore doesn't worry about keeping to goals until now. Meredith, your goal reaching this year is phenomenal. It is so inspirational. Well done. But quite often our self-sabotage happens before that journey even begins, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to do a situation for you now, a few situations. I want you to let me know if any of these situations sound familiar to you. All right, so something happens and it makes you think, right, that's it. I need to lose some weight. Let's follow along our line of nutrition. I need to lose some weight and I'm damn well going to do it. Starting Monday, I'm going to cut carbs. Who's done that one? Who's done that one? Or starting Monday, I'm going to eat 1,200 calories every day until I reach my goal weight. Who's done that one? Let me know in the comments. Yep, I can see those hands starting to come up. Yep, I can see those yeps coming through. God, you know where I'm going to go with that one, don't you, ladies? Or starting tomorrow, I'm going to walk for an hour every single day. That's it. I need to lose the weight. I'm going to walk for an hour every single day. Hands up if that's been you. If these sound familiar, let me know. Or maybe Do you have another example, something that you've done before that you want to share below? Maybe it's promises that you keep telling yourself when you want to lose weight. Maybe it's something that you do along those lines. Share it, because I guarantee there's someone else here in this group who probably says the same thing to themselves that you do. So tonight we're going to have a look at the most common ways that you have self-sabotaged before you've even begun your journey. And as you might be able to tell already, it's about setting unrealistic goals. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. You set an unrealistic goal. Let's take the eating at 1,200 calories a day as an example. Who's ever done that? Right. So you decide that you need to lose 3 or 4 kilos in the next week or two. And the only way to do that is to not eat, or eat at something like 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. You think that you want it bad enough. You might even plan for it. You might even shop for it. You might even shop really well for it. And probably it was before you did an inner fit program and you didn't know about your free foods and all those sorts of things, right? And then you do it for a day, maybe 2, maybe even 3. But then you get those day 3 vibes setting in. And those of you who've done an inner fit shred will know what I'm talking about those day 3 vibes, right? And then those day 3 vibes hit and you feel like crap. You're tired, you're lethargic, you're moody, and you are so freaking hungry that all you can think about is food, right? So after day 3 or day 4, you eat something not on your plan, and then it spirals from there. And then comes the talk that goes with it. Oh, I caved in. I'm useless. I can't do this. I'm no good. I'm a failure. And all of a sudden, you have broken that promise to yourself. Sounding familiar? I bet it is, because we've all done it. The fact of the matter is, ladies, though, you're not a failure. You're not useless. You just set yourself an unrealistic, unmanageable, and unmaintainable way to reach your goal. That's all you did. Right? Guys, I get it. I totally get it. You've been conditioned by society to think that you have to eat 1,200 calories a day to lose weight, right? There are still doctors, we talked about this the other week, there are still doctors out there prescribing women to eat 1,200 calories a day and walk for an hour or go for a run, okay? But what we're conditioned by society to think is that we should be able to eat 1,200 calories a day and be happy with it and be good at it. That's what we've been taught since we were little as females, not as males. That's what we've been taught as females. And now we think that eating lots of food, eating lots of good nutritious food is wrong, that it's bad for us. So there is this ingrained idea in our brains that we should be able to eat really low calories and manage it really well. Now, remember last week when I talked about things that were instilled in us when we were little by our parents, by society, by the people around us? This is one of those things that I was talking about. This is one of those things. As women, we are conditioned to think that eating less is good for us because we shouldn't get fat. All right? So we are conditioned to think that we should be able to easily and happily survive on 1,200 calories a day. So if this has ever been you, I'm going to give you a couple of strategies now, okay? And if any of you have got kids or teenagers, particularly teenage girls, here are some strategies you can use if you notice them trying to cut their calories really low. So instead of setting yourself a goal of eating 1,200 calories, I want you to try these things instead. Try eating at 1,500 calories every day for 2 weeks and see what happens. As a minimum, go 16, 1,700, but 15 is always your minimum, okay? See what happens. 2 weeks isn't going to blow you out, all right? Eating 1,500 calories at 2 weeks, I could nearly guarantee that you'd still be losing weight, right? But in a much healthier way. Another strategy is to simply clean up your diet. So rather than reduce calories, you clean it up, right? And actually, when you clean up your diet, your calories will naturally reduce anyway. So instead of eating 4 slices of toast for breakfast, you have oat with butter and peanut butter and honey and all those sorts of things that blows out to 600 or 700 calories. You might pick up some oats instead, which is a lot less calories, but is going to fill you up more. Or even some wheat bix, or some overnight oats, or some yogurt, or things like that, okay? Simply cleaning up your diet will automatically reduce calories and make you feel a hell of a lot better. Maybe you should actually track what you are eating for a whole week just to see where things might be blowing out. So for a whole week, you could just sit back and write down every single thing you put in your mouth, right down to the handful of nuts, the chicken nuggets off the kids' plates, and the alcoholic drinks that you have, okay? If you do that for 1 week, you will learn so much about yourself, and then you'll start to realize the tiny little things that you're doing that are blowing out your daily calorie intake, and you'll be surprised as to what that is. But you don't need to drop to 1200 because you've worked out what those little things are. And one more thing you need to do is to remember that any extreme weight loss in 2 weeks is mostly fluid, okay, and muscle. And it is very, very rarely much of it coming from body fat. When you lose weight that fast, it's fluid, and then your body's attacking your muscle before it's burning the body fat, okay? You need to remember those things. So going down to 1200 calories, not a great idea. Try one of those 4 things instead. Another way that we self-sabotage as women with unrealistic expectations is by doing elimination diets. Now, I don't have anything against elimination diets. I absolutely don't. But they are for a very few people who have that kind of precise personality who can withstand it, right? For those that don't know what a elimination diet is, it's one where you can cut out an entire food group. Most likely it's going to be carbs. People are pretty content on cutting out carbs, gluten or wheat, or maybe even sugar. Let me know if you've done one of those before, if you've done an elimination diet. If you've done keto before, you've done an elimination diet, you've taken carbs out. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest for a second. I am currently in a very low carb shred at the moment. I'm in a type of elimination diet at the moment, but I'm experienced in knowing what my body wants, and my body goals are probably extremely different to what most of you are aiming for, okay? I'm in that bodybuilding realm now, whereas I don't think many of you are. I know there are a few of you. So I'm currently on a semi-elimination diet at the moment, but very controlled. So I'm not against these at all. But what I want you to do is realize that it's quite often an unrealistic expectation for most people. So what I'm talking about is when someone says, that's it, I'm not eating sugar anymore. Let me know if you've done that one, okay? Because before you promised yourself something like that, it sounds so simple and so healthy in that one sentence. I'm done with sugar. I'm not having sugar anymore. It is actually something that needs to be superbly planned out, the getting rid of sugar thing. It needs to come with a meticulous plan, because you need to consider what sugars are you actually going to cut out. Now, the immediate response from the general public is all of it. I'm cutting out all the sugar. Well, it's not actually that simple, because when you think about it, there is sugar in everything. There is sugar in just about everything, right? Fruit, corn, peas, for starters, right? Some of those, even carrots, capsicums, tomatoes, they all have sugars in them. Then there's the sugars in carbohydrates, potatoes, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, right? Breads. There's sugar in honey, right? There's sugar in milk. There's sugar in yogurt. There's sugar in sweets. There's sugar in chocolate, biscuits, lollies. There's sugar in cereals. There's sugar in alcohol. In fact, alcohol is predominantly sugar, right? Because it's fermented. Do you start to see where this dilemma kicks in, right? So to be able to say something like, I'm giving up sugar, you really have to think about how much that is going to impact the way you live. Yeah, everything, says Meredith. Meredith says she keeps hearing about the don't eat sugar diet, but there are a lot. Yeah, yep, exactly, Meredith. And that's why I wanted to do this tonight, to talk about the fact that simply saying I'm cutting sugar out is not as simple. It's not as simple as it sounds. People just think chocolate, ice cream, biscuits, cakes, lollies, those sorts of things. But when you delve deep, sugar is sugar. And we've talked about this before. And if you want to know more about it, I did a live a couple of months ago about fruit, right? Now, I'm not saying fruit's bad for you at all. Fruit has so many nutrients in it that are so good for you. I have 2 children who live off of fruit. They eat so much fruit. I love it that they do that. But when you decide to say that I'm getting rid of sugar, you need to consider that, because even though the sugar in fruit is fructose and it's more natural sugar, it's still sugar and your body does not know the difference, okay? So when you have decided to do an elimination diet, and let's for an example, do sugar. We're not going into gluten or wheat because it's along the same lines, okay? There's gluten and wheat and everything as well. There's carbs in everything. So let's say you do that, and then you know which foods you will eat that don't have any sugar in them, and then you plan for that, right? And you enjoy eating that, because my God, your body will thank you for it, I promise you. And if you make it that far, it's likely that you are then eating a keto style diet. So on about days 3 to 5, you go into what we call the keto flu, right? Where your body is starting to rid itself of the last of the carbohydrates. The keto flu is real, and it will last 3, 4, 5 days. It's like you've got the absolute flu, right? It is awful, and all you crave is sugar or carbohydrates, okay? It's your body's last hurrah of getting rid of the sugars from your body. If you make it through that phase without craving and without caving in, you're a machine. You've done really well. You've done well. Like I said, this type of elimination diet is for a select few. So then you make it through the keto flu. You're on about day 7, day 8. You really start to feel good. You're going to feel amazing. You've lost some weight. You're feeling less bloated, and you feel generally better all around, which will happen, okay? You will feel amazing after not eating sugar for a week. So you're confident. You get really confident. You keep that going, and then a function comes up. A friend's come over for dinner. A family member's birthday. And you think to yourself, oh, I'm doing really well. I can just have a bit of cake. I can have one slice of cake. It's not going to hurt. Or I'm just going to have a slice of pizza. I've been so good, haven't had carbs in ages. Slice of pizza is not going to hurt. Or I'm going to have a wine. Or I'm going to have a mojito. Love mojitos, by the way. It's just one. Absolutely fine, right? And then the next day, you feel yuck. You have like a hangover from carbohydrates. Your body is now trying to get rid of the sugar that you put in, this now foreign concept, and you start to feel awful again. So here comes the spiral. You start to doubt yourself. You start to consider yourself yet again a failure. And then the cravings hit. Sugar breeds sugar. Do you remember this? Right? The more sugar you eat, the more your body craves it. Sugar breeds sugar. Your body is now craving it harder than ever before because it's got a taste of it. Now you're back to square one. And you just do not have the energy to go through that detox process again. Okay? And all of a sudden, there's another promise that you made yourself that you just couldn't keep. Who's done something like that before? Let me know. Or let me know if you're still with me and you're understanding where I'm coming from. So elimination diets, while they're great, they need to be, you need to be aware that to stick to them long term is not always realistic. Meredith, what is keto worth then? Yep, Meredith, that's really good. And we're actually in the stages of putting together keto plans because keto works amazingly for some people. And if you plan your keto properly, when you do have carbs and it's not all that sort of sugary stuff, there is a way that you can do it, which is long-term. Keto is actually really good for you as long as you're not obviously got diabetes issues and things like that, or if you're not trying to build muscle. All right. Yeah, absolutely, Meredith. I know. Yep, that's fine. But keto's a really good thing to be aware of as an option because it really does work well for some people. I'm not opposed to keto at all. Not opposed to it at all because as you guys will have heard me talk about before, carbohydrates are a non-essential nutrient for the human body to survive. And our bodies function better without carbohydrates. They absolutely do. We are in the throes of putting together keto plans, and that's actually what I'm trialing a little bit at the moment with my shred, Meredith, is ketogenic, a shred. So we will talk a bit more about that in another one. We have talked about keto before. You might want to go back through the group in the search function and look for keto or look for carbohydrates. Maybe it was in there. So what are some alternatives to elimination diets, right? So if you've ever done that and you think, right, what can I do instead that's not going to set me up for failure? Well, if you want to reduce sugar, start with saying no to excess sugar for a little while and see how that goes. So cut out your sugar in your tea and coffee. Cut out the lollies as much as you can, the chocolate, the ice cream, the biscuits as much as you can. Switch to zero sugar soft drinks, okay? Some very, very simple steps without going the whole hog. And see how your body responds to that. See how your body responds to the excess sugar, okay? You're getting rid of that. Then if you think, oh, I want to cut out carbs actually, start with cutting out 1 or 2 types of carbohydrates for a week and see how you go. Don't go cold turkey necessarily. Do it little bit by little bit. And leave in fruits and vegetables, okay? But take out highly processed carbs like cakes, biscuits, cereals, leaving oats in, okay? And you can leave Weet Bix in your diet as well. So taking out those processed carbs as opposed to all carbs, leaving fruits, vegetables, and good whole grains in there. That is a really good simple step to see how you go. If you are someone who wants to cut out fat, don't do it. Do not do it. Plain and simple. Stop fearing fat. It is an essential nutrient, particularly for women. Please don't cut out fat. You know this already. And if you don't know this, you need to go back and watch more of my videos. Eating fat does not make you fat. Eating fats keeps your body functioning properly. Now, I want to go through a quick scenario with you that happened with a friend of mine just last week. She said, I'm going to cut my portion sizes in half. This is my strategy for the next week. I'm going to cut my portion sizes in half. Let me know if you've ever done that one. Now, this in theory is a great idea, right? But when you truly think about it, cutting your portion sizes in half actually means cutting your calories in half. It means cutting everything in half. And that, ladies, is unrealistic. It's 100% unrealistic. Let's say you're eating 1,800 calories a day, even 2,000 calories a day, probably over what you need to do, but you decide to slash everything in half. Well, that drops you down to 900, 1,000 calories a day. You know that's not sustainable. Imagine trying to do that, right? So you would likely be starving hungry, you would be tired, you'd be lethargic, and your ability to stay on that track for any given length of reasonable time is severely diminished. Again, you'll end up creating that telling yourself you're a failure when you know full well you're not. You just set an unrealistic goal. So we chatted and I asked her if a better approach might be to cut her carbohydrate portions in half, keep her protein sources the same, her lean protein, right? And maybe increase the volume of good vegetables. So her volume of food all round doesn't change. It might even increase. But that way she's halving the food that she knows might cause her grief, the carbohydrates. She's maintaining a good level of protein to keep her muscles full and her tummy full too. And she might even be increasing nutritious vegetables that are also going to be keeping her full, but supplying her body with all the essential nutrients, right? That is a much better solution than cutting all your food portions in half. Let me know if you've got any questions. I have another example for you before we go tonight. Let me know if you've got any questions at this point. I have a little one sitting with me tonight. Somebody's not feeling 100%, so she's sitting with me tonight. She's just giving me little smiles off the side and showing me the book she's reading. Alrighty, so let me know if you've got any questions below. The last one I want to go through tonight is exercise, okay? This is a very, very common one, very common one. It's very interesting because when people make themselves really unrealistic promises to get fitter, they don't do it based on their current exercise levels. So let's look at one example I've come across. You say to yourself, that's it, I'm not feeling well, I want to, exercise regularly, so I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock every day this week. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do a workout at 5 a.m. every day. And in your normal routine, you don't actually get out of bed till 6:30, 6:45, and even then it's after hitting the snooze button 5 times, right? You don't have a gym membership, and it's been years since you've used a machine or even stepped foot in a gym. But you do remember that it's easy, so you make yourself a promise to do it, right? So you buy the gym membership, $800 worth maybe, then you're ready to go. On Monday, of course, because everything has to start on a Monday, right? We know that. Can't possibly do it any other day. So Monday rolls around, the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning. I wonder if this is hitting home. Let me know. You hit the snooze button, your normal 5 times. It's now 5:20. You decide that it's too cold, that you're too tired, or you've just wasted 20 minutes hitting the snooze button, so what's the point? You'll do it tomorrow. You just do it tomorrow, right? Does that sound familiar? Tuesday rolls around. Yep, I'm getting some yeps and some thumbs up. Yep. Tuesday rolls around. Same thing again. 5:20 comes, but you're actually really disappointed with yourself for not getting up the day before, right? So you drag yourself out of bed at 5:20, but you decide can't possibly go to the gym now. Cannot possibly go to the gym now. It's too late. But I'll go for a walk. So you go for a walk around the block, 3 Ks maybe, it's freezing cold. But this walk is pretty good because you know what a walk will do for you. You all know that. You know how good it is to walk. As soon as you step outside, you're happy that you did it. But you can't help thinking how disappointed you are that you didn't go to the gym. You can't just enjoy the walk. You're disappointed because you didn't go to the gym, because just walking's not going to get you ripped, is it? It's not going to get you muscles and all those sorts of that toned look. So you're out there for the walk, but you're disappointed with yourself. You still got that inkling of disappointment. Now, after this cycle for a few more days, sleeping in or just going for a walk, maybe you've walked once or twice this week, you're starting to get really down on yourself. You promised yourself that you would go to the gym 5 times this week, and maybe you've gone once. Maybe you haven't gone at all. And you've walked once. Maybe twice. But because you didn't hit that goal of going to the gym 5 times, you didn't reach that goal of doing 5 super fabulous, intensely sweaty workouts in the gym this week, you're a failure. You're useless. You're never going to achieve your goals, are you? That's what I know. That's exactly what you say to yourselves. Because that's the goal you set and you didn't do it. You didn't keep that promise to yourself. Well, do you know what you need to think about? Is that the point is you made a start. You got out of bed a couple of days a week. You went for a walk. That was more than you were doing the week before. It's a hell of a lot more than you were doing the week before, right? You've made a step in the right direction. And that's where you need to start flicking that switch, right? But where that started is you made an unrealistic goal. You went from doing no gym workouts, not going to the gym at all, not doing any exercise in the morning, to thinking that you'd be a powerhouse and going 5 days a week. 5 days a week for someone starting out is too much. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. 5 walks a week isn't too much, but 5 gym sessions a week is too much, okay? So never make that promise to yourself, please. All right, let's look at some alternatives to unrealistic exercise goals when you are starting out. You need to acknowledge, first and foremost, where you are at, okay? You have to own where you're at, whether that be you do nothing, which is fine because you're owning it. Maybe you walk 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe you do go to the gym once a week, twice a week, right? You need to exactly work out where you're at, own it, and then work to build up little by little. So if you are doing nothing, maybe you do 3 walks in the morning for the next week, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? It doesn't just have to be 1 week. If you are already walking a couple of times a week, maybe you're increasing the time of your walk, maybe you're increasing the pace, or maybe you're increasing how many sessions you do. You walk 3 times, maybe you walk 5. If you go to the gym twice a week, maybe you look to go 3 times a week for the next couple of weeks, okay? You need to work out where you're at and build up a little bit from there. Not go, oh, okay. If you have trouble getting up in the mornings, do a workout at nighttime. There's nothing wrong with doing a workout at nighttime or a walk at nighttime. Or go to bed earlier. Find a time that realistically suits you and your family and get your body clock into that routine, right? It doesn't have to be an exercise in the morning either. Get your body clock working. If you haven't done any exercise for a while, start with something free, as in money free, and something easy, something like walking. If you have not done any exercise for a long time, walking is the best thing you can do, or some aquarobics if you've got sore muscles or ankles or joints, whatever it is, okay? Walking is the key to overall good health. So start there. You could start with going for a walk 3 times a week, and then after a month you increase it to 4 times a week. And then you start to increase your walk length, all right? Things like that, how long you go for. But don't overshoot something simple. The last one is, if you want to increase your exercise, why don't you make a date with a friend, okay, to go for a walk or go to the gym, or even better yet, book in a trainer. Book in someone who you have to pay for to come and walk with you or to come and do a gym session with you, because you absolutely can't sleep in or quit on a trainer because you're going to pay for the session anyway. If you pick a friend, you need to promise them, right? Because it's going to be harder to break a commitment to someone else. We talked about this last week. You wouldn't break a promise to a friend or a family member, but you keep breaking these promises to yourself, right? So how about if you want to start exercising more, get someone else to come with you, book in a time or a session with someone else and pay them or have them set up, because you don't want to break that promise to them, right? Pay the trainer in advance so that if you don't go, you don't get a refund. So you're motivated financially to go to that session. That's motivation, and you're not going to break the promise to them or break the promise to yourself. Now think about that for a minute, right? And now I want you to think about a baby. This is my last analogy for the night. Make sure you put your questions down. All right, put your questions in the comments, but one more analogy for you tonight when it comes to all of these goals that you are setting yourself. Think about a baby. A baby does not walk straight away. They roll, then they shuffle, then they crawl, maybe. Some babies don't crawl. Then they stand up, right? Then they walk holding on to something. They walk assisted. Then they walk. Have a think about that process. Sometimes when we are setting ourselves a new goal, we want to go from being born to running a marathon. It does not happen. We need to go back in what we call literally baby steps. What is something that you can do this week that is simple and achievable, that is still getting you towards your end goal? What is going to take you from lying still to rolling over? And then next week from rolling over to crawling or shuffling, whatever's next. I want you to think about that analogy of a baby the next time that you consider making yourself an unrealistic goal or an unrealistic promise that you know, especially after listening to these 2 weeks worth of lives, that is going to end up in self-sabotage. Remember the analogy of the baby. Sometimes you really need to think of your health journey in stages, okay? Just like that, in stages. Because trying to do everything all at once, trying to achieve the lifestyle of someone who's been doing it for years in the first week of your journey is going to lead to you falling down. It's going to lead straight to feelings of failure. It's going to lead straight to self-sabotage. Baby steps, ladies. Put yourselves in the situation of a baby, one thing at a time. Just focus on one thing, okay? And those of you that have done some of our challenges before, you know about this. We go through things like, you spend a week on hydration, you spend a week on sleep, you spend a week on portion sizes, all those sorts of things. All right, it's about baby steps. So please stop setting yourselves huge goals right at the start of your journey. All right, do you guys have any questions? I can see that this is resonating with a lot of you. Jane's doing it with her husband for accountability. She's doing the yoga on Wednesday. Yep. Like I said, I've got a live audience here with me tonight. Let me know your questions, ladies, because then I'm going to let you go. That was a lot for tonight. I really hope that you've got something out of there. Creating new habit. Yes, Kathy, it 100% does. You know this. You know this. You've been so successful at this one, Kathy. Creating a new habit takes time. 100% it does. Okay, it's never going to be perfect, particularly not in the first few weeks. But when we take the time to build one habit at a time, like a week per habit, 2 weeks per habit, all those habits build up together so quick, and that's when you really start to see a really big change. All right, I'm just going to give you 30 more seconds. Make sure there's no more questions. And then I'm going to leave you to it. I really hope, if you've got time and energy, let me know what was the biggest takeaway for you tonight out of this. Let me know if it was worth it. Let me know if there's anything else that you would like me to give more information on, maybe, and we can I can look at that for another live as well. Yeah, Meredith has been thinking about some of these ideas, especially when creating new habits, when she was assessing how well she swims. Meredith swims, everybody. I wish I could swim. If anybody's ever done swimming, it's freaking hard. You get in there and you think, beautiful, I'm going to swim for half an hour. I do one lap and I'm exhausted. Seriously, Meredith, you're a machine. Swimming is really, really hard. Give me a running track any day. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, make sure that you put any questions you have below. Tag me in them if you can, so that it really does come up on my feed and I can come back and answer you. Have an amazing week. For those of you in the shred, we are heading into week 2. For those of you not in the shred, you can still jump on. Come on and join us. There's 7 weeks left. You will be really surprised at what you can achieve in 7 weeks. All right, guys, have an amazing week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.